Hello, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thanks for joining me. I recently asked you what you thought was the best niche fragrance of all time, and many of you responded, so thanks very much for that. In this video, I'm talking about the top 3 fragrances that you chose, and let me tell you, the number 1 was the winner by a long way. Like, it wasn't even close. I did a video similar to this where you chose your favourite men's designer fragrance of all time, and I also did a top niche fragrance of all time, but that was voted for by Fragrantica users. By the way, I'll leave links to both those videos on the end screen of this one. A lot of you thought there was something a little off about that Fragrantica vote, like there were 3 Frederic Malles in the top 10. So I thought I would ask you what you think is the best niche fragrance of all time, and there's not a Frederic Malle in sight. So you know when I said this was the top 3 fragrances that you chose? Well, there's actually 6 fragrances to talk about in this video, and that's because there were a few ties. At number 3, there was a tie between 3 fragrances that got exactly the same vote, and I'm so glad you guys picked the first one I'm going to talk about because it's absolutely one of my favorites. If you know me, if you know my channel, you'll know I love the note of tobacco, and this is one of the best tobacco fragrances that you can buy. I am of course talking about Naxos from Xerjoff. I absolutely adore this fragrance. It is so good. I'm glad that you love it so much. A lot of people talk about this fragrance as being the perfect autumn or fall or winter fragrance or cooler weather fragrance, and whilst I think it does work really well in cooler temperatures, I actually really enjoy wearing this fragrance all year round, and I think that's because it's got some citrus in there, so it gives it lots of lift. There's some lavender, so it's got a nice aromatic nature. Yes, it's sweet and it's rich and it's got the tobacco in there, but because of all the elements that make up this fragrance, I don't think it is just exclusively a cooler weather fragrance. Well, it's not for me anyway. I find this just to be a sweet, addictive, very, very classy fragrance. The blend is superb. There's a lot of work gone into this fragrance. It is absolutely exquisite. Many of you out there agree with me. It is one of your favorite niche fragrances, and quite rightly so. I'm glad Naxos gets so much love because it is thoroughly deserved. I'm sorry to say I do not own the next fragrance that is tied at number 3 with the exact same number of votes. This is one that's on my wish list. I definitely want to pick it up at some point. From MFK, which is a brand that was strangely absent from the Fragrantica list, but not so on this list because you have voted for Grand Soir. This is known as an ambery fragrance. It's very rich, it's very heavy, so again, it's one of those fragrances that a lot of people say really excels in the cooler weather. I think if you're going to wear this in warmer temperatures, you definitely just want to be spraying a little bit lighter, but this is sweet and rich. It's full of depth. There's a good dollop of vanilla in there, so it's got just a little hint of a gourmand sweetness. It is very sensual. This is one of the most sexy fragrances. This is probably the definition of a date night fragrance. I don't think date night fragrances get much better than this. It's got this depth that you can almost just lose yourself in. You can't sort of ever get to the bottom of the depth of this fragrance. It just keeps going on and on. It is absolutely beautiful stuff. I do regret not owning it. Perhaps I don't own it because I feel maybe the situations I wear it might be a little bit limited compared to some other fragrances that are on my wish list, but I have smelled it quite a lot. I really enjoy it, and hopefully it will be in my collection at some point. But good fragrance, and it is tied at number 3. The third fragrance that is tied in the number 3 spot is one that just blows me away. I'm talking about Amber Oud from Rouge Parfums. This is just magical perfumery on another level. There are prominent notes of rose, fig and cinnamon, but it feels like there's a lot more going on in that. But it's not busy, it doesn't come across as too complex. It's all very smoothly done, as we find a lot with Rouge fragrances. Again, this is one of those fragrances that has that bottomless depth. The quality and the class of Amber Oud are just on another level. Absolute dream. I was playing with my daughter a couple of days ago. She was dressed up as the Mandalorian, and she asked me to wrestle with her, and we do that up here, and so she sees the fragrances and she said, "Oh Daddy, can I spray one of your fragrances for wrestling?" I think she just likes to obviously smell good when she's wrestling, and she reached for this one. She said, can I wear this one? And I said, yeah, sure, feel free to spray the £600 fragrance all over your Mando costume. Subsequently, she wiped the floor with me in this wrestling match because every time she came close, I just got hypnotized by this smell, and for the rest of the day as well. It's a long-lasting fragrance. If you want to smell mesmerizing and hypnotic, if you want to get noticed, if you're maybe having a wrestling match with someone, then Amber Oud is definitely a fragrance to check out. It's not the cheapest fragrance, but in this case, I think you absolutely get what you pay for. This is an exquisite fragrance, and I'm glad it's on this list.
If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description.
This brings us on to the number 2 spot, and again, it's another tie. It's a tie between two fragrances, neither of which I actually own. The first one is Baccarat Rouge 540. If you've not smelt this fragrance, if you've not heard anything about it, it gets described as this sweet cotton candy musky fragrance. It's got fir resin in there, which gives it lots of depth. It doesn't come across as a terribly complex fragrance, but it is very sexy. The only issue with this fragrance is that I smell it a lot. This has crossed into the mainstream to the point where I think I smell this more than designer fragrances. It has become such a popular scent, and that makes me kind of question whether I want to go out and wear it, because when you're into fragrances, you don't necessarily want to go out into the public and smell the same as everybody else. I don't know, what do you think? Is that good or a bad thing when a niche fragrance that smells good, that you enjoy, but when it becomes so popular, does that make you not want to wear it quite as much? So I do really enjoy it. I would maybe like a bottle of this at some point, although I am hesitant because it is just everywhere now and it's not a cheap fragrance. So do I want to spend that much money on a fragrance that I'm going to question whether or not I want to wear because it is worn now by so many people? The other fragrance at number 2 is a Tweed fragrance. This is very popular. It's been around for quite a while. Many people just rave about this scent, and I probably should get a bottle of this. I'm talking about Green Irish Tweed. Originally came out in 1985. It still seems to be as popular as ever. Many people describe Green Irish Tweed as having this freshly cut grass type of smell, and Tweed say this fragrance is supposed to make you think of walking through the countryside, the green countryside. I think there's different smells that come to me when I'm thinking about walking through the countryside, and many of them are probably not smells I would like to spray on myself. Nevertheless, that is the imagery that we're going for with this. And of course, with Green Irish Tweed, there's this famous dihydromercenol used within it that is very similar to Cool Water, because I think it also uses dihydromercenol. And this is the slight issue I have with Green Irish Tweed. This is the reason I don't own it. I wore Cool Water a lot back in the day. For a while, it was my signature scent. Well, it was my only scent. I wore the heck out of Cool Water. In my mind, that was my fragrance of being sort of 16, 17 years old. And I feel like I've moved on a little bit. And whilst Green Irish Tweed doesn't smell exactly the same, and it is a better scent, I still have that association with Cool Water, and I feel it's a smell that is in my past. So I've never been able to bring myself to spend Tweed prices on it. I do, however, feel like I should give it another chance. I should buy a bottle so I can give myself a chance to appreciate Green Irish Tweed and allow the distance to form between Cool Water and Green Irish Tweed, because if I really wear Green Irish Tweed properly and give it a chance, I think I will separate the two in my mind. I will have Cool Water over there from my youth, and I will have Green Irish Tweed over here, which is maybe sort of the more grown-up version, which maybe I'm ready for now. So watch this space. Maybe soon I'll have a bottle of Green Irish Tweed in my collection, although I do have some pretty decent clones of it, which again is maybe another reason why I haven't purchased a bottle. But many of you out there own it and love it. You have voted for it as joint number 2 in the best niche fragrance of all time. As we move on to the number 1, we are not done with Tweed. Oh no, because by far and away, the fragrance that you overwhelmingly voted for as the best niche fragrance of all time, this one got triple the votes of any other fragrance in this video. It is, well, It's the king. Aventus retains its crown as the best niche fragrance of all time. Who knew that pineapple and smoky woods would create such a fuss, but a fuss it made, because this fragrance changed the game. This fragrance put Creed on the map. Without Aventus, Creed would not be the brand, the company that we now know. Countless numbers of panties would not have been dropped, according to some, if it weren't for this fragrance. And there is no mistaking, it is extremely good. Fragrance magic occurred when this fragrance was made, either that or a happy accident. Either way, Creed has not been able to create a fragrance as popular as this, nor any brand for that matter. I don't think any brand has come close to changing the game and creating such a hype beast that Creed Aventus has become. I am a little curious though, because obviously Creed is famous or infamous for having all these different batches. So if you voted for Aventus, are you voting based on an older bottle that you have, maybe something prior to 2018, or are you voting based on a new bottle that you have bought, a 2022 bottle? I'm not quite sure what current batches smell like. I haven't smelled a recent batch, but many people say that it is a shadow of its former self. So if you voted for Aventus, are you voting based on a newer batch or an older batch? Let me know. So, King Aventus keeps its throne, and I'm a little bit surprised because I would have thought many of you watching my channel might have got sick of the hype of Aventus. Maybe you started smelling it everywhere you go and you don't think it's as good anymore because you're so overwhelmed and bombarded with Aventus or Aventus-like fragrances. But no, you still like it. You have still voted for this fragrance as the #1 men's niche fragrance of all time. Creed Aventus, like it or not, has become a legend. Thank you to everyone who voted in this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know and come up with some ideas that you might be able to vote for and leave them in the comments. I'll have a read of those, and if there's something that catches my eye, then I will put the question out and get the votes from you. All right, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.